raised by Honorable Yusuf Maalim Dakane, member representing Lungu to Health Service Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We received a response last week. We discussed it this week, and we found it that the response was not satisfactory. We have returned it back to the department. Next, we'll bring the response next week.
Honorable Yusuf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Honorable Yusuf. Member was originated that statement. Mr. Speaker, that statement has taken so long, and I wish to ask the Chair of Health not to exceed and next week that response.
Thank you. I think by next week, according to the Chair, the response will be ready. We go to the next statement. This is a statement raised by Honorable Dakane Abdunur Dakane Rafat to the Committee of Finance Economic Planning. Honorable Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We have received a statement raised by Honorable Abdunur Dakane Rafat, Kalalio Ward. Mr. Speaker, the first question read, how much does the department generate from water revenue collection per week in the ward for the last 12 months? The response issued by CEC Finance stated that over the last 12 months, the total collection by the Department of Water and the Water Users Association before the department took over, we at County Treasury has received Kenya shillings 305,500 from Kalalio Ward. We are not able to break it down by weekly collection, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the second question, why the department collect revenue generated from water agent in the ward without any documentation? Mr. Speaker, the water agent are representative of the community and the Ministry of Water, Energy, Environment and Natural Resources, and do manage the water source on behalf of the Department of Water and the community. Upon collecting the revenue, Mr. Speaker, the water engineers deposit the amount collected by the agent into county revenue account at the end of the month. Mr. Speaker, the third question raised by Honorable Abdunur Dakane Rafat, any evidence to show whether the water revenue collected from the ward was deposited in the county water service resource account? The response, the Department of Water deposit the revenue collected into Mandera County revenue account and receive RCR. I don't know what does it mean. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kula?
No.
I think the statement is for the House. It's not for Lalonga.
Okay. Very good. Continue.
He means by RCR, and yet they have discussed this in their meeting, and he should be the one who is informing the House. It means this information has not been discussed within the committee. That is my first observation. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, question number 2, to my understanding, is not fully answered. Because what the honorable member is asking for Kalalio is asking why the department collects revenue generated from the water agents in the ward without any documentation. Because they are not using any receipt. That's what he is trying to imply. And the response here does not show anything near to that. Therefore, I feel question number 2 is not totally answered. Thank you.
Honorable Rafat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, this response, the way you have said, this statement is for the whole House, and they can, since they are all representing the electorate, this is the pain they are feeling. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you check at the response of question 2, the last part where it says water engineers deposit the amount collected by the agents into the revenue accounts in the end of the month. Mr. Speaker, sir, when money is collected weekly and it's not going to the bank, and it is going end month to the bank, what does it show? Really, this reflects that this money is collected weekly. I'm on the ground, I know what is happening, it is collected weekly. Then if it is collected weekly, it's not going to the bank. Here the statement is saying it is the end of the month they take to the bank. And even in the first statement where it is 305,500 is collected yearly, that means within a month they get 25,458,000. Per week, in just one region, in Gududea, they collect 4,000. Within 4 weeks, it is 16,000. And this is a whole month, a whole year. So, Speaker, this is not, it's not concurring. It's not concurring. And then, therefore, this statement is not fully answered. And we want it to be really the committee to sit down and see what the way forward. Thank you.
Honorable Adam.
Mr. Speaker, it is very sad to note that we have got 365 days in a year, and we have collected 305. I mean, in those months, I mean, in 320, we are collecting less than even 10 days, 10 shillings. Mr. Speaker, even those who push the 20-liter jerrycans, who come from the town, leave alone the water, I mean, the animals who come and drink water there, will generate not less than 1,000 shillings in a big settlement like Halalio. Mr. Speaker, there is something very fishy. There is a serious leakage of fund in this ward, Mr. Speaker. It requires your indulgence.
Mr. Speaker, I want to respond to Honorable Adan. The money that is collected into the county revenue account is the money that remains after it is used for fuel and maintenance. So it is not all the money that is collected that goes directly to...
Look at the question.
No, Mr. Speaker, that is the reality on the ground. The little balance is what goes to the county revenue account. Thank you.
Yeah, the money that is collected is only for Kalali Ward. It's not for the whole county. That's the information I wanted just to tell you.
Honorable India.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. According to me, even question 1 is not answered well. Why? He said per week in the ward for the last 12 months. If they have just given us that per week is good. The other thing, this money 305, according to the ad hoc committee representing water, I being the member last time, this is after ring fencing. And ring fencing means the money is used as the source for fueling, paying the workers, and whatever remains is deposited into the account. Thank you.
Honorable Muhammad.
Bana Speaker, I think Honorable India has really put it the right way. So Speaker, I am very sad today because of it has revived my memory in terms of remembering when this House has rejected the report of ad hoc, this problem will have not been discussed today, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, everything, all the concerns that Honorable Rafat has raised was captured in that report, and the remedy was also captured in that report. Mr. Speaker, coming to the point, 305,500 shillings from Galalio Ward, I think it is in order, Mr. Speaker, because we have gone to the ground, including the people of Galalio, that the money collected by water agents, Mr. Speaker, is used to ring fence, is used to pay workers, casual workers, is used to pay fuel, is used to pay maintenance costs. What remains is what is taken to the county account as a revenue source. So 25,000, Mr. Speaker, the way Honorable Rafat has put it, actually is even more than enough. If they have contributed 25,000 and plus per month, Mr. Speaker, actually it should be rewarded. That word should be rewarded, Mr. Speaker. And I think this statement is in order, Mr. Speaker, and fully answered, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Rafat.
Mr. Speaker, sir, this does not mean that if the Honorable Committee, the statement has been reviewed and what the report they have brought, that they can go and indulge in everything and say it is correct. Mr. Speaker, sir, it does not give sense. That one does not give sense. This is the whole House which rejected this thing. So you cannot again come back to the House and tell you, why did you review our report? That's wrong. The House has all the mandate to review a report, and it's not because of that they go and hunt the people of the revenue where it is going. Mr. Speaker, sir, we need your indulgence in this. Thank you.
I think Honorable Gamlan.
As a member of this committee, although I am not officially in the committee, I was used to be a part of this committee, and I happened to sit as a co-opted member yesterday when we were deliberating this statement, Mr. Speaker. Though, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the answer, in a way, you can see a lot of weaknesses in it, Mr. Speaker. There is no better way than the CEC can answer, Mr. Speaker. Because the confusion and lack of synergy in different departments within this county, Mr. Speaker, already we saw it. When we tried to find remedy to it, Honorable Rafat was the front line, refusing it. As the good teacher said, Mr. Speaker, we don't even expect an engineer water to be collecting money revenue, Mr. Speaker, because he's not even answerable to the revenue department, Mr. Speaker. There are a lot of problems, Mr. Speaker, but you cannot expect what is happening is the water officer, whether it is ward administrator, whether it's the community, elders, whether it is ward administrator, the different collectors we earlier mentioned, when they collect, what the maintainers, what they need on the ground, they use has already been bought. What has been cashed, what has been banked is the amount that the surplus. So, Mr. Speaker, the member who raised the statement himself is not clear on what exact information even he wants. Because the Department of Water cannot, the Department of Finance, Mr. Speaker, cannot answer more than this. If he wants day-to-day activities of the borehole, he should direct to water, Mr. Speaker.
Fine.
That's what's happening. Thank you.
Mr.
Speaker, I think a question raised on the floor of this House is raised on behalf of each and every ward, Mr. Speaker, and it is good for us if we get the good response, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the concerns.
Order, honorable members. Order, please.
Mr. Speaker, the concerns raised by Honorable Rafat was not raised just to create a business for this House. There was a concern, there was a problem in the ward, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the question clearly asked how many shillings were raised, every week. And Mr. Speaker, we don't have weekend in water drinking. We are talking about 365 days of the week, Mr. Speaker. And when the department or whoever is answering this question, Mr. Speaker, is supposed to give elaborate answer by saying the amount of money generated was this amount, this was used, and this was banked, Mr. Speaker. What we have here, Mr. Speaker, is 305, which was the amount of money banked. And therefore, to this House, it means this is the only money generated, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, there is something seriously fishy. Rafat should not suffer because the question raised, last time through water ad hoc committee was not properly addressed by or handled by this House. This question requires your indulgence, Mr. Speaker. Let the electorates of this ward not suffer. Thank you so much.
Honorable
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think, Honorable Speaker, water issue has always its own problems. And we know very well that in this House, Water Users Association, we formed an ad hoc committee which come up with a report, and the report could not sail through. That's the problem that is still following us up. Second thing, Mr. Honorable Speaker, is that this is a response from the department. They have their own ways of accounting their money, whether it is in weekly, whether it's in monthly or yearly, Honorable Speaker. when they give us the report, us is to abide by what they have given us. If we have another question, then we have to go back to them, ask them we are not contented with this report. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, if the Honorable member representing the ward has a different information, something like maybe he has other figures of amount of money that he knows that has not been accounted for, then that is the information we require, Honorable Speaker. So let us now abide by this, let us follow this, and if there's any other information, then the Honorable Speaker can come, Honorable Member can...
What's your point of information?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think what we are not understanding is the question and the way it has been answered. Look at the first question, Mr. Speaker. The honorable member is asking from water revenue collected per week in the ward for the last 12 months. This question of per week can only be answered by the Department of Water, which is collecting the funds on a daily basis. The Department of Revenue can only account for the money on a monthly basis, Mr. Speaker. Whatever has been deposited from the Department of Water into the account is what the CEC for Finance can be able to account for. So that is where the disconnect is. If you look at the question number 2, Mr. Speaker, why the department collects revenue generated from the water agents in the ward without any documentation? They have not, again, answered this question as Department of Finance. This question, again, can best be answered by the Department of Water again. Yes. Because they are the ones who are actually overseeing the Water Users Association. They are the ones to make sure that the Water Users Association actually use receipts to collect revenue in the ward. But what the Department of Finance will only account for is that amount which is deposited by the water engineer on a monthly basis through RCR receipt, Mr. Speaker, which is
I want to advise my colleagues here, honorable members, that one thing you do right now may haunt us another time again. You stop Honorable Rafat from getting this information, tomorrow it will be you in your ward, and you will start here again asking us. Mr. Speaker, sometimes we have to take precedence from the National Assembly, even if they are part of the government. Some of them outrightly say this one is not right. Just what is happening to the revenue sharing right now in the counties. You see the Senate. Most of those people who are reducing the reductions are people who are in the government. And the president maybe wants this formula to be done. And they say it's not right. Why? Because tomorrow it might happen to my county. And I need the support of this honorable member. So please, let us, so what I'm saying, this statement is not answered. According to the way I've seen, there is no even that receipt for deposit, they are saying, because he's asking any evidence, and then he's saying there is here RCR. Where is the RCR from here? It's not even here. So, Mr. Speaker, that is what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This statement has not been tackled. This response is insufficient. The honorable member representing Kalalio, when he asked these statements, he knows what he has asked. He knows the area very well. He knows the number of households connected to taps, how much they are paying every month or every week. He knows all the sources of water, even the cost of water. Mr. Speaker, according to the PMF Act, it states that, according to the PMF Act, no money, PMF Act, no PFM, no money should be used at the source of collection. All these funds generated by this water users association or water agents has to be banked, and later at the end of the month, the maintenance, it has to offset this operational cost. Using money at the source of collections is even, we are contravening PMF Act, and we'll do something so that at least we eliminate this leakage in terms of resource collections by eliminating these agents. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I'm Honorable Yakub, member representing Derkale Ward. Mr. Speaker, sir, the response given here is extraordinarily satisfactory, Mr. Speaker. Unless, or otherwise, Mr. Speaker, somebody has in his mind wants a specific response and a specific answers that he wants, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you look at this response, they have just responded the way question is asked, Mr. Speaker, sir. You have asked for specific amount, you have been given. You ask for what procedure is used, you are told that it is they are using the RCR. In question number 3, you have asked whether the money is deposited in county water service resource account. There is no account like that, and you are corrected. And you are told the money is deposited into Mandera County revenue account, not county water service resource account. You are asking for something which is non-existent, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. And in this case, they have gone into the extent of even correcting you as a honorable member. What does it mean? It means you don't know what you are asking in the first place, Mr. Speaker. Let's be very sincere, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable. I think you are out of order by saying
I am not out of order.
Order, honorable member. I think
you have to withdraw, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, we know what you are asking, Mr. President. Withdraw.
Okay, Honorable Kula, what do you want to say? Put on your mic then.
So, Mr. Speaker, sir, what I'm saying is my personal opinion as a honorable member. No, this is from the point I can see, not from their lens, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order, honorable member, Yakub. Order, yes. Honorable member, that it is totally wrong to say the honorable member was not knowing what he is doing. That statement is it's not good. Please withdraw it.
I stand to be corrected, Mr. Speaker, sir, and guided, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Then you withdraw that statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members.
Because you have been the chairman of ad hoc committee.
Honorable member representing Khalaliu and Ramo, please get back to your seats. Honorable Yakub, this is the House of Records. Please withdraw that statement.
I stand to withdraw that statement and stand guided, Mr. Speaker, sir. There's no better statement than that, Mr. Speaker, sir. So I will continue, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. I think he has withdrawn. Please get back to your seats. I think we are going to rule this.
So, Mr. Speaker, sir,
please wind up.
As I continue, Mr. Speaker, I am winding up, Mr. Speaker, sir. The detail of all this And the answer of all this, although this one is well answered and well responded, the detail of this is in the ad hoc committee report, Mr. Speaker, sir. And we request, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Speaker to give a ruling that the ad hoc committee report will be revived. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. I think you have spoken. Then allow me to give honorable leader from minority leader. Then Honorable Bishar will be the last.
Honorable
Then we'll
Speaker,
make a ruling on that.
Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to say, Honorable Speaker, I just want to say and follow my my colleague, Honorable Majority Leader, that there is no competition in this House in regards to this statement, Honorable Speaker. The statement was raised, it was responded to. If there is an issue, we'll still follow it up. Let us not make it something like a team. We have two teams that plowed in and the other one opposing. We don't have such thing, Honorable Speaker. This is just a question, a statement raised by my brother, Honorable Rafat, my teacher. If he is not satisfied, then as a committee, including myself, we can go back and ask again. But let us not put it like, we have indifferences in this statement. Honorable members, let us be, let us be mature enough. Let us respect one another. Let us not, make it like a two-team or we're opposing one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think, Mr. Speaker, anything that touches on water, if an honorable member comes with a statement from his ward, or even something that concerns the county, Mr. Speaker, what I've come to realize in this House is that the members of the ad hoc committee are always on the negative side, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that they pin down the members on the voting that has taken part last year, Mr. Speaker. I think this is trying to haunt this House, Mr. Speaker. One of the key proponents of that ad hoc, report that has not sailed through because, Mr. Speaker, this House rule of voting should be respected. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Yaqub, so many times, he always refers back to the ad hoc report that was tabled this House.
Honorable Bishar,
Mr. Speaker,
I think that ad hoc report.
Mr. Speaker,
Order. Point of order. Point of order, Honorable Speaker. Point of order.
Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for protecting.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, just hold on, please. I'm on the floor. Just have to respect. Mr. Speaker,
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
what I'm trying to say is that
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
sometimes we have to consider statements as new statements that need to be answered by the executive, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we should not refer any statement that comes to this House on political ground, Mr. Speaker. We should not politicize, statements, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Members.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, people should also honor each other in this House. I don't know whether Honorable Yaqub is an understanding of the document, the way he has scrutinized, the way he has analyzed, might be different from the way I have analyzed, Mr. Speaker. He should not take about generality, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when we talk about statements, please let us look at the due process in answering. If there are annexes that are required, if there are information that are lacking, the committee must decide during when this statement was before it. But I think Honorable Rafat is in the right time or right position to ask whatever is affecting his vote in terms of water, Mr. Speaker, or even inflation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we...
Before you rule, Mr. Speaker, kindly.
Okay. What do you want to say then, Rafat? I will make a ruling after Rafat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me another chance as a Vice Chair of this Committee of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I want to bring to your attention and concur with my brother, Honorable Member representing Ramo, that the first two questions must be referred to water, Mr. Speaker, and probably the third question, which is asking at least about evidence of the third question, can be, we can go back to the Department of Finance to sort out clearly of annex attached as a proof. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Then, last honorable member, Honorable Rafat. Then
thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Yusuf, get back to your seat, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the first time when I was bringing this statement, the House remembers that this statement was for water. And it was directed by the Speaker to finance because it involves some revenue. Mr. Speaker, sir, the situation now, finance is put in here in the House, that this partly is finance and partly is water. The two committees are supposed to be now joined together and find out the truth about this. Yes, no, the two committees, not another committee. Revenue, a joint committee, and water and revenue. That will be the only way which the right answer can come up. Mr. Speaker, sir, that's why this thing has not been properly answered and not satisfied. Thank you.
Fine. Okay, Honorable Yusuf, what do you want to say?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this response is not satisfactory, and therefore it is issue concerning about revenue, and that one lies with the Department of Finance. Therefore, this thing must be addressed again, present it to the Finance Department, Mr. Speaker.
And budget.
Thank you, honorable members. Thank you for your debates and contributions. It is true that the response is not sufficient because the first question it is carried on, two questions, per week and per month, and they only answered per annum. The second question, they have not answered it. They said it is for water. Actually, they have not answered. And the last question, where the honorable member asked any evidence, even they have not attached one. So the response is not sufficient. Let the Committee of Finance go back, discuss it. If the committee finds that, these questions is touching to another committee, maybe next week they will tell us, and that's the time that we are going to decide whether we are going to form a joint committee or not. But for now, it is not sufficient, and it will be taken back to the committee. Yes. Honorable members, we go to the next statement. This is a statement raised by Honorable Yusuf to the Department of Roads. Next week, I said next week. By next week, I think this statement will be on the floor, please. All the entire question, the three questions. Honorable Vice Chair, are you okay with it? I think that's
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I stand as what you have ruled, and we will bring after 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Mr. Speaker.
I think you cannot take it 2 weeks. Let it be 1 week, and it will be here by next week, please. We go to the next statement. This is a statement raised by Honorable Yusuf Maalim Daghani to the roads, transport and public works. Honorable Mohammed Shukri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I seek your permission in terms of responding to statement number 3, number 4, number 5, and 6, which I have.
First, I think you are speaking on behalf of the chair.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. The Vice Chair and the Chair are not here, and I am representing them in the capacity as a member.
So, you want to answer it?
Yes, statement number 3, 5, and 6, and then I will also say something about statement number 4.
So you want to answer statement?
Number 3, 5, and 6. And then I will say something about statement number 4, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to start with...
Honorable Yusuf?
Mr. Speaker, instead of the honorable member answering all these statements at the same time, let him answer in the way it is in the order paper, one by one, so that we debate on the statement one by one.
Point of information, Mr.
Fine.
Mr.
Thank
Speaker.
you very much. Order, honorable member. I think they combined it.
Yes.
I think
yes.
they will read it and we understand. Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a combined report, Honorable Yusuf. I am doing it in a good faith. Mr. Speaker, I want to start statement raised by Honorable Yusuf Maldakane and Honorable Farah Abdinur, that is the presiding speaker. And this is the response from the department, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, response to statement raised by honorable members. We acknowledge the receipt of your letter reference number MCA PRTC Gen volume 1 040 and 042 dated on 16th June 2020 and 24th June 2020 respectively on the statement sought by honorable members of the County Assembly. The County Department of Roads, Public Works, Transport is committed to efficient service delivery to the people of Mandera County. We strive towards maintenance and upgrading of existing roads as well as opening up of new access roads throughout the county. Regarding the concerns raised by Honorable Yusuf Maalim Dagane, MCA Alungu Ward, we wish to clarify that the road in question, Alungu to Lafey, a section of Mandera A, is a section of Mandera A13 junction. According to the latest classification of roads by the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development of National Government, the said road from Mandera town up to the junction A13 near Elwak town is a national trunk road of Class B and is therefore under the jurisdiction of Kenya National Highway Authority, KENHA. It is therefore the responsibility of KENHA to maintain this road. It is therefore the responsibility of KENHA to maintain this road. Further, Kenya Rural Roads Authority is currently upgrading to Pitman standard a section of the said road from Mandera town to Finno, and work is going on. Notwithstanding the aforementioned, the Ministry of Roads, Public Works and Transport will raise the matter with KENHA, requesting the rectification of the defects occasioned by the recent floods. As regards to the statement raised by Honorable Farah Abdinur, MCA Lebihia Ward, kindly note that the Ministry of Roads, Public Works and Transport has undertaken maintenance of Lebihia A13 junction in the financial year 2018-2019. We are cognizant that the recent rains have rendered several roads impassable, including the said road. Mr. Speaker, they have also attached submission of the budget estimate 2020 to 2021. The letter reference is made to, this is a letter addressed to the CEC Finance. And if you go ahead, Mr. Speaker, there is an attachment of an extract from what the department has submitted to the County Executive for Finance to be considered in the upcoming budget, Mr. Speaker. I think it is for, in the interest of time, that also there is highlighted Arabia, construction of Arabia, other Lebihia Road is also highlighted, Mr. Speaker, among other areas, which is 45 million according to their proposal, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you go ahead, there is an attachment of road condition assessment report dated 28 May 2020, authored by Muhuddin A. Omar, which is also an engineer in that department, Mr. Speaker. Report, condition assessment report, A13 Lebihia Road. Mr. Speaker, that is the assessment report, Arabia Other Road. There is the introduction, methodology, observation, Mr. Speaker, the defects, erosion of gullies, with a dimension, of course, possible causes, Mr. Speaker. And then there is the effect, gravel loss, possible causes, effect, proposed remedial measures, culvert installation, graveling, and also the challenge expected, Mr. Speaker. There are also annexures of pictures, the first one being gravel loss at CH 0 plus 400 meters, photographs. There is also erosion of gullies at CH 2 plus 2, 900 meters. There is also page third photograph of erosion of Gali. Mr. Speaker, there is gravel loss within Libihia town, and there is also an attachment of changes in network under your jurisdiction. That is a letter by the CS, James Macharia, that is the Cabinet Secretary for this department at the national level, Mr. Speaker. I think, Mr. Speaker, that is for the statement raised by Honorable Yusuf Maalim Dakane and Honorable Farah, the presiding chair, Mr. Speaker. And there's also another statement by Honorable Ali Nur Dero, and I read, Mr. Speaker, the response by the department, which says, response to statement by Honorable Ali Nur Dero Abdullahi, we acknowledge the receipt of your letter, reference number that, dated 1st July 2020, on this statement sought by Honorable Ali Nur Dero Abdullahi, MCA, Wargadud Ward, the County Department of Road, Public Works and Transport is aware that several roads were rendered impassable by the recent rains, including Wargadud Takaba Road. We assessed the road immediately after the floods, and our team estimated that the section most severely affected is between Wargadud and Qoqai near Iriskinto. The county has undertaken remedial measures on the said section under the following two contracts. Mandera, the first one is construction of a drift, backfilling and stormwater drainage at Iriskinto. Tender number MCG/OT/RLMF, which is of course RLMF, the Road Maintenance Levy Fund, 03/2019-2020 is the first project that has gone into that road. The second one is a drift at Qogai, MCG/OT/RLMF/05/2019-2020. The ratification work carried out under the two contracts has addressed most critical sections of the road. The scope of the work carried out under this contract includes construction of a drift at a stream crossing point, gabion protection works, backfill to eroded sections, meter drain and score checks. Pictures of the same are here also by attached. The first one is one of the 3 30-meter drift constructed at Iriskinto. The second one is that gabion protection at Iriskinto. Gabion protection at Iriskinto, also the third one. Mr. Speaker, just to add on my personal comment is that I have used this road, Mr. Speaker. I was going to Takawa, and I have used this road, and I have personally witnessed that this project is ongoing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the last statement which I said I will say something about it is a statement number 4, Mr. Speaker, which is also raised by Honorable Yusuf Maalim Dakane, MCA Olungu. Mr. Speaker, we have received the response of this statement, and in our committee meeting, we have realized that it is not to the standard of what the Honorable Member has requested, and we found it to be unsatisfactory, Mr. Speaker, and we have returned to the relevant department, and we are waiting the response, and I think 1 week.
Which one is that? Is it the
Statement number 4. We have returned to the department, Mr. Speaker, and we are waiting a clear response, and we will vanish in the floor of the House within 1 week's time. Thank you.
Honorable Yusuf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Honorable Yusuf, member representing Alungu. Speaker, having perused this statement from the Department of Roads, Mr. Speaker, to me, it's not satisfactory. In this report, Mr. Speaker, there is a letter attached to the report by the Ministry, by the Cabinet Secretary, Secretary of Transport and Infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, dated 8th May 2020. He has provided a list of roads planned for maintenance and development. That letter is not in this list, Mr. Speaker, and I wanted to know which are these roads that are supposed to benefit from this list, Mr. Speaker, first and foremost. That document is missing from these responses. Whether that list is in the road that I've asked or not, it's not here. I wanted to know that list. Where is it first, Mr. Speaker? Two, Mr. Speaker, the roads, Lungu Lafay Road.
Before you go, which document is missing?
If you go to the last page, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah?
If you go to the last page.
Yes.
A letter dated 8 May 2020 by the Secretary, Treasury, Cabinet Secretary from the Treasury and Infrastructure, National Government. If you go to that, they have said, following a road registrar review by KRB and a joint road agencies team necessitated by the stakeholders petition, you are hereby advised that some roads have been reclassified as by the attached list. You are therefore requested to plan for the maintenance and development of these roads as applicable to each agency. That list is not there, Mr. Speaker, and we wanted to know which are all these. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, Lungu to Lafay roads were first undertaken by the county government. And it seems, Mr. Speaker, they are using upgrading of the road as a scapegoat to evade its maintenance, Mr. Speaker. The people of Lungu, Mr. Speaker, are taxpayers like any other person in this great county and in the country at large, Mr. Speaker. They are, Mr. Speaker, these are House of Rules and Procedures, Mr. Speaker. Any honorable member who wants to speak this out must stand and raise his own opinion, Mr. Speaker. There are those honorable members who are making noise under the desk, Mr. Speaker, and we don't want to entertain such things, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the people of Lungu are taxpayers, Mr. Speaker, and are entitled to basic service like, Mr. Speaker, roads and water, Mr. Speaker, and health, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, by saying, the department saying that this is under the national government, and they are the ones who have undertaken these roads, Mr. Speaker, in the first place, it is just they are using a scapegoat to run away from the maintenance of that road, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we have seen in many occasions, Mr. Speaker, where the county government are spending a lot of resources, Mr. Speaker, heavily. They are spending heavily, Mr. Speaker, on functions of national government, claiming that it's the interest of the people of this great county, Mr. Speaker. Why not the people of Lungu, Mr. Speaker, when they are making all those unnecessary things? And today they are telling me here that it is not the people of Lungu, these things are under the national government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's the interest of the public, Mr. Speaker, but that's what they normally say. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, wish to family to state that the report brought before this House was prepared with malice and lots of neglect, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, by treating some people from this county as if they are in second-class citizens, Mr. Speaker, it's very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the people of Greater Lafay, Mr. Speaker, are like any other person in this great county, Mr. Speaker, and they are taxpayers, Mr. Speaker. Having also said, Mr. Speaker, as a representative of the people of Lungu, Mr. Speaker, this is not satisfactory, and therefore this response must be returned to the department, Mr. Speaker, and they have to maintain that road, Mr. Speaker, since it is impossible for the people of Lungu and Lafay, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Point of information, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mr.
As a road
Speaker.
committee.
What is your point of information, Honorable Muhammad?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want just to interject what my brother, Honorable Mohammed Shukri, has said. Mr. Speaker, the statement signed by Honorable Lungu, my brother, which we are from the same party, not Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the statement says that whether the department is aware of road between Lungu to Lafay is cut off by the recent flood.
I only wanted to get one thing from the
Mr. Speaker, can you protect me? I'm on the floor of the House. I'm on the floor, Mr. Speaker.
I'm not giving him an information, but I wanted to get something from
Mr. Speaker, can you kindly protect me?
Please, we give you a chance to talk. Let us hear each other first.
Yes.
What are you saying, Honorable Yusuf?
Mr. Speaker, did the honorable member representing Kutulu say that we are from the same party? This is the first time that I'm hearing, but he's recognizing the party that has sponsored him to his house, Mr. Speaker.
Order. I think, are you doubting that he's not from...
He has disowned the party, Mr. Speaker,
No,
and he has joined the members of the Jubilee party, Mr. Speaker, long time ago.
As far as we know, he's a member of that...
We are not discussing party issue, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my brother is misleading this House. Mr. Mr. Speaker, my brother is misleading this house. There is no anywhere I have disowned my party as NAK Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and he knows. So let him not mislead the house, Mr. Speaker. Just on the lighter note, that one. Mr. Speaker, if maybe I want to interject what my brother, Honorable Mohammed Shukri of Guticha has said. Exactly, on just to interject what you have said. Mr. Speaker, this road of Lafay, it has been classified as Kenha, as A13, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you can testify to what I am saying, that there is a project ongoing worth 3.2 billion from Mandera town to Fino, Mr. Speaker, and that project is ongoing. The point of information I want to put, you know, the Honorable Alungu is saying this statement is not satisfactory. And the letter which it has been written to Ministry of Transport, National Government, is attached, Mr. Speaker. If you look at the leaflet, you can testify to that. So the third statement that raised by the Honorable Alungu is satisfactorily answered by the department, and it still is writing to the Ministry of Transport to seek, so that at least it can be bring to their attention, so that it can be done, Mr. Speaker. So as per speaking, you know, the government project while the one of Mandera to Fino is taking place and it's taking shape, and the other one is being sought slowly. But this statement, as per the department, it has been satisfactorily answered, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, we need to contribute. We need to contribute. Mr. Speaker, this thing is affecting some of our wards, Mr. Speaker. This statement is affecting some of our wards. Yes, after prayer.